going on? This is David J. Coleman here with another chapter of Coleman on Purpose. I want to thank you all for joining me for another edition of this podcast. This podcast has almost been going for a full year. I'm very, very excited about everything that's been going on. I want to thank you all for joining me for last time's chapter where we were talking about the fight to be heard. Please go back and listen to that chapter if you haven't had a chance to listen to it. It was very insightful, and I got a lot from that chapter. There were a lot of different things that came up during that time when I was talking about those things that kind of really woke me up to how much I am trying my best to be a voice. I want to put it that way. I try to be a voice for the voiceless at this time. And a lot of people don't feel like their voice is heard a lot of times. So if I can be that intermediate voice at the time and kind of say something that gets people either talking or feeling like their words do have meaning, I am doing what I have to do and doing my job. So it's amazing. So today we are going to get into a chapter, and it's very interesting because I was going to go a whole different way with this chapter originally. I was going to do something that went along with the theme of like Valentine's Day. I was like, okay, let me do this episode about this. I wanted to stay on theme with like what was going on. It was like a whole big elaborate plan, but sometimes things don't go the exact way that you see it or plan it out. So I usually write notes, and one of these chapters was actually before Coleman On Purpose was, just getting into the swing, when it was just called On Purpose in the beginning. I was writing one of these chapters called Favor and the Formula, the Favor and the Formula. And of course, I didn't end up titling, giving it that title, but I wanted to go back to this because there were some things that I had written in the notes for this chapter that I wanted to share. And I was going to probably save it for, a couple chapters down the line. But I was like, this might be a perfect time to actually pick up this topic. And I'm going to tell you where this originated from. So I was on a layover probably last year sometime, maybe toward the beginning of 2021. And I had fallen into like a deep sleep. Sometimes I'm away on trips sometimes, and I fall into these really, really deep sleeps where I dream a lot. So I don't like to call my dreams weird, but sometimes they are dreams that I remember. And I remember, I think it might have been my dad or something that said, if you have a dream and you can remember it, try to write it down, or it had meaning. But if you can't really remember it, it was just a weird dream, forget about it. So this particular dream, I just remember, and I remember getting up in the middle of the night to record what was said to me at the end of the dream. And I recorded it on my phone. But the interesting thing is, on my phone, I cannot find it anywhere. I cannot find that note, but I remember what it was because it was so ingrained in my head at the time. I'm going to tell you like a synopsis of what I believe it said. It was basically saying, you can have the favor, but if you don't have the formula, you aren't able to do what you need to do. If you don't have the correct formula, you can definitely have the favor, but if the formula is not there, then you're not going to, be able to elevate or get where you need to be without having both of those things. So I had to do a little bit of digging with this. So I wanted to look up some definitions of the two words, because a lot of times when we say favor, we think in church terms. Like church would be like, oh, you are highly favored. Oh, God is favoring you. You hear a lot of churchy things, but when it comes down to it, I wanted to get a more succinct, a better definition of what I wanted it to mean. So one of the definitions for favor was approval, support, liking for someone or something. Okay, I kind of like that one, but the second one was the one that I really connected with because it connected most with where I was, with, being raised in church and everything. And it was an act of kindness beyond what is due or usual. Okay, so I was like, okay, I like that one. An act of kindness beyond what is due or usual. So God giving you above what you thought was due or was usual. So I like that one. Then formula, I only liked one definition, which I wrote down, which was a customary, because everything was like science related. So this one was the closest to it, a customary or set form or method allowing little room for originality. Now, you know, I'm all about being original. When it said, I was kind of straying away from it because it was like allowing little room for originality. What? But then I got it. I was like, it's not necessarily if for that specific person, you know, they have a set course. So it doesn't leave room for anybody else to really be original in that vein. So I kind of like that one too. So favor in church terms, when I was growing up, it was, you know, God's provision or showing up or being faithful in situations which we normally doubt ourselves, or even times where we may not have the utmost confidence in where we think we are. So that like ties right in kind of with that definition of an act beyond what you think is due or usual to you. So in our minds, we may have a doubt about something that, you know, we really want. Maybe like I remember I used to audition sometimes and I was like, you know, I have the favor of the Lord, God is favoring me, so I'm gonna walk into this audition and do what I gotta do, even though I might not have been the most confident. And some people can walk in with total confidence. Like in their head, they know that they got this. But nothing is wrong with that. I don't feel like anything is wrong with walking in with like confidence. I think that leads to your formula, your confidence. It leads to that formula, which I'm talking about, that originality. So, formula in my terms, I believe that people are just born with it. And it's hard to really duplicate someone else's formula. You can try, but I believe like uniqueness is your formula. Having that uniqueness is that specific person's formula or what they have in order to reach. So I'm talking about this in terms of whatever you feel like you are like called to do, or you feel like you want to go out and try to do in your time. So I think that everyone is created with their own formula. Like I used to say it in like the terms when I'm on the podcast. I usually say like God made you in your own unique way or your own purpose. But formula, it does have a lot to do with your purpose. So in that whole entire dream that I had, I started to think about different people, even within the industry, or like where I really wanted to be in life, within the entertainment industry or something involving something within, the arts. And I thought about each separate person. And I said, wow, a lot of people have been able to rise to these heights. And then you find a lot of time these little duplicates of that person would kind of walk around, or they would try to emulate or do what someone else was doing. So I feel like when you are in those areas or veins where you are that person that has that specific niche that a lot of people are looking at and seeing how hard it was for you to get there, and they want to maybe try to walk that same path. Yes, a lot of times you find people within the industry that'll have that push or something like that. But if they don't have that innate formula, that blueprint that someone had, it's not going to be at that level that you see there. It's going to be something that's not maybe original to you, but you're trying so hard to do it, but it's not going to connect with others the way that you want it to, or at least that's how I see it. And so I feel like when you are walking in both your favor and the formula, um you're using that thing that God gave you, and it can't be stopped. It's very hard for others to try and contain it. It's something that's just inside of you. So that's what I feel like when you are truly finding that formula that you're walking in. And I hate to use that word because it sounds so scientific, and that's why I use purpose a lot of times. But when I heard the word formula, it really, in my mind, it was more, it's just inbred in you. it just sounds like it's an inbred type thing. And I believe that that goes hand in hand with purpose. But a lot of times we have to think about it in that type of way in our heads, because we are scientific people, we are analytical people. So sometimes purpose just sounds too broad. So when we say formula, it sounds like something that's so much more compact that we can actually mold and make. When in all reality, if it's your formula, it's already in you. You don't really have to work to do it. So I feel like we're so used to admiring other stories and other people's come ups, which I feel like it's great to study. It's great to look at other people's come up and how they've progressed and how they've grown. But now as I grow older, I'm becoming more conscious of making sure that I'm not attempting to replace or replicate someone else's formula. I have stopped kind of getting so caught up in their stories that sometimes I just feel like I miss my own story because I'm so caught up in their story. So I've stopped trying to get so caught up in that I totally am like, oh gosh, I've missed exactly what I was supposed to do in that time because I was so worried about what that other person was doing. So I feel like I haven't totally unplugged from the entertainment industry as a whole, or I still get caught up in some things every once in a while. But I give myself like little subtle nudges sometimes to remind me that this thing that I'm giving myself to, is it benefiting me, or is it making me work towards my next goal, or is it taking away something from it? So I I don't want to give it too much time all the time. I'm just like, okay, I've given this platform or something like that enough time. Let me go and work on what I need to do. And that sometimes it's hard to do that. It was hard for me to pull away from everything that was going on at the beginning of this month, from work to being involved with like catching up with shows or watching news that's in the world, that I didn't even want to like get on here and even do this podcast. But sometimes it's like I know that this is for a purpose. I know it's working towards something that I want to do and something that I really am passionate about. So I need to get my butt in here and do what I have to do. So I can love all of that industry stuff, and but I just can't idolize it. I don't feel like you can idolize that stuff to where you become so entrenched in it that you miss your whole being. Like you just miss everything that you're supposed to be doing as a whole. So I can say that I've walked into so many beautiful things, or beautiful places within my life, realizing that favor rests upon me. And I do also realize that people being involved within that favor or formula, it is also a makeup of what I'm supposed to be doing, or my purpose. Nobody can do it alone. I just want to say that one more time. Nobody can do it alone. Everybody that has built something within this world or this industry or whatever you've done, it doesn't matter if it was a business or if it was anything else, nobody has done that alone. Somebody has had someone to do it with them. Sometimes I feel like people will use others to get to where they need to be. And then when they arrive, they act like nobody helped them to get there, or they just came up this way and this was how it was from the beginning. They had this ingenious idea and they were able to do it all by themselves. We had to take the reins and do it all by ourselves. But let me tell you something. If you watch and sit down and study some of the greatest companies in the world, they have been built with the assistance or the helping hand of an investment or something along the way. Somebody that has either helped them, gave them a nudge, told them about it. They did not just, it just not pop into their head. Yes, there are ingenious ideas sometimes, but to get to those different places, there are helping hands that come along the way. And even if we look further than that, I always say there's something higher than yourself. I said this on the last podcast. There is something higher than yourself that implanted that idea in your head. You didn't just come up with it because you're the most brilliant person in the world. Yes, there are geniuses. Yes, there are people that are smart, but everyone needs someone to help them along the way to build upon what their purpose or what their goal is in life. So I try to remember that a lot of the times, and at times I felt like in my, search or trying to get to certain places, I felt like there were times when I didn't have that person or thing helping me, like a mentor to kind of help me along and kind of guide me through all the ins and outs of maybe the industry or something that I was trying to go into, business wise. But as I am growing and realizing more and more and more, I know that I have those people around me. It might not be the title of a mentor that person is given, but I know that there are many people who believe in me and want to see me grow and walk in the purpose or the formula set before me. Um, so when I look at all these different, like in my vein, like outside of bit, like a lot of people have businesses or do different things, but outside of my vein of just wanting to be engulfed in the arts and start many things, I see a lot of artists nowadays settling for a quick or a rushed type of fame. They just want to be known. They want to have that thing, just like I was here a few years ago and now look at me, but it comes so quickly. And a lot of people have built this, they have built this over time, but there are many artists that I'm seeing that have this rushed fame and they don't want to really experience the growth that comes along with becoming an artist, becoming a person. They just want to either rap or I just want to sing or I just want to act. And they don't want to go through the process of doing it. So they want to do like a quick little come up off of maybe like an IG, or I want to do a quick come up over here if I sang a little song over here. So now I want to be a singer and let's just get the ball rolling. And they sign with these labels, quick, horrible deals. And I feel like later on we're going to hear horror stories of how some of these artists rose so fast and fell so quickly. And that's what I feel like we're going through. There are industry people that are basically pimping out people's gifts. Like people that they were these purposes, these destinies, these things that were placed into people. I feel like the industry is like, okay, we see a little bit of something in you. We're not going to take time to develop you and make you into something, that could last for a long time. We're just going to use you for the time being. You can last for about 4 to 5 years, and then we'll dispose of you when we've soaked you of all the money and we've taken all of your ideas from you and we haven't allowed you to grow. That's what I really feel like is going on in many industry things, even in many businesses. You have businesses that people know sometimes they need a little bit more before they really launch their business. There needs to be a little bit of added things to that to make it have longevity. But we want to say, let's just push this product really quickly out and we'll get it going. It's kind of like the movie that I was watching, Megan, where they were so in a rush. This genius idea that this lady had been coming up with. If you haven't seen Megan, it's hilarious. I mean, it's the present day Chucky. It's a hilarious movie, but it really teaches you some things that our world is moving so quickly. We don't want to wait on anything. And so they wanted this doll, this new doll that they had invented. They saw that it worked one time and they were like, we need to push this as quickly before somebody takes it. Because that's how the world, I feel like, is moving. And it ended up the doll was destroying everything and they didn't have time to really nurture it and get it to what it needed to be so that it could be safe for the world. And that's how I feel like we need to treat our gifts. The things that we have worked on, the things that we have labored over, the things that we have thought about for so long, keep those things close until you find people that you can trust. And then you go out and you branch that idea out to the world. Once you've built a good little support system around you, you go and you launch that so that it can have longevity. You want long lasting things, things that go on forever and ever beyond when you were not even here anymore. People will remember it. People will take it in. That is what is so important. So this quick fame stuff, man, I used to think about that like maybe I just want that, but no, I'm good on that. I'm good on that. I would rather just be here in my element, ready to build around what God has said in me or my purpose, my formula, get it all situated, get those people to support me and surround me and give me a good, solid foundation, and then launch what I have to do, launch it out here. So it takes time. You build over time. When I think about all the different things that I've done, from things like before this was a differently created Black Boy Man. 13 episodes I put on YouTube, similar to this, telling my story, but putting acting into it a little bit. I mean, it did what it had to do, but I needed more. So you learn from that. And I even learned from that experience, because before I even launched this Coleman On Purpose, I was like, let me build up myself a little bit before I go out here. Let me get a little bit of support around me to really encourage me and to be like, okay, it's time. You go do your thing, and then go and launch something like this, because I have big plans for what this will be and what I'm going to be able to reach eventually. So that is why I say that is so important. So I want to say that formula should work hand in hand. Like my dream said, you can't have favor and lack formula. You can't just walk into places with the map layout or formula without having favor. Someone who has been through a different process but may be trying to get into some place similar to you, you need them to reach out and you need them to guide you, like I was just saying. So I look at that as favor. When you find those specific people that are placed into your life, or those specific circumstances that you walk into, that is direct favor in your life. So you can have all that formula together, but lack the surrounding or the favor to walk into it, or just vice versa. You might not have the favor, but you have the formula altogether. It can be there. Those can intertwine sometimes, or go in different ways. You can have the formula, not the favor, or the favor and not the formula. Either one. So I do believe, in closing, I'm going to say, in modern times, these fans that are around all of these people, or the people that support these things or these businesses and stuff, they're very fickle. People get tired of things quickly, whether it be a business module, whether it be a show, whether it be music, all of the different things that build our world. They run dry at times, and people get tired of it. But you need to find those people that will support your growth, your vision, and your call as you continue to walk in whatever you're doing, whether it loses steam or whatever. There's going to be somebody there to kind of motivate you to reinvent, or to do something different, to elevate it, or to make it even more than what it is. I do believe that people that continue to make you hungry, or people that have their own purpose but want to see the purpose of others come to pass, is a definite benefit. It is a definite benefit to have those type of people around you. Favor is all around, but tapping into your unique formula is what is going to bring your true purpose to the forefront. And that's kind of what I wanted to say in a nutshell here on this favor formula talk. I really, really hope that you've enjoyed today's chapter of Coleman On Purpose. These chapters and these episodes, they mean so much to me. I really do hope that you take the time out to listen to each and every one. Each and every one holds so much value in my eyes, and in the eyes of a lot of others that have listened and really partaken in a lot of these talks and chats. So I really want you to go ahead, make sure you follow me on Instagram. I am on Instagram all the time, so make sure you come over to DELUXEDAVE. Follow me there. I am also on TikTok at davidj.coleman. That is my just regular personal page, but I also have a Coleman On Purpose page, which I started to put a few little clips up there here and now, and I'll probably do a little bit more talking on there too. But Coleman On Purpose is up on TikTok also at Coleman On Purpose, and that's all you got to do, Coleman On Purpose, right on TikTok. Like I said, make sure you listen to all the old stuff that I have streaming here, and join me for the next Coleman On Purpose. I am bringing a very special guest on with me. We're going to have a great talk. It is entitled Guarded Guys. We already have it recorded and ready to go, so I can't wait to release it towards the end of this month. And I would like to tell you once again, you are unique, you are loved, and you are created for greatness. Till I see you next time. Holla, holla.